Aloha kakahiaka and welcome to the 45th session of the Hawaii County Council. The date today is July 23rd, 2026. The time is 9 a.m. We're meeting today, the entire County Council, in our Kona chambers at the West Hawaii Civic Center. And to begin today's meeting, I'd like to call on Kahu Kealoha Kaopua of Calvary Community Church in Kona to provide our invocation. Aloha kakahiaka.
Mahalo. My pleasure to be here this morning. And I was reflecting on the fact that I've lived 65 years. And in those 65 years, I've learned one thing more than anything else is that actions have consequences. If I accidentally grab a hot pot or a hot pan, my fingers will burn. If I go too fast on the highway, I will be reminded by the law enforcers that I've gone too fast. So actions do have consequences. And today is July 23rd, just a typical Thursday in Kona. But thousands of years ago, on this very day, actions resulted in consequences that were very dire for the people of Israel. In Numbers chapter 13 and 14, on this very day, it's called the 9th of Av, they refused to enter into the promised land that God had for them. It was a year out from the first Passover. They had left slavery. They were about to enter into the promised land. God said, give me 12 people, one from each tribe. Go in, check out all the good things that I have for you. They did. They came back. 10 of them had a negative report. Only 2 said that we can take it. We can overcome the giants of the land. But their decision not to go in resulted in the consequence that for 40 days, while the spies were in the land, it turned into 40 years that they would have to wander in the desert until that disbelieving generation fell away and the next generation could enter into the promise of God. I say all that to say this. I know you're about to embark on decisions that are going to be impacting for every individual in Hawaii County. And I want to pray with you, and I want to pray for you. And the prayer I'm going to do is an oli. I call it an oli pule by Auntie Edith Kanakaole. It's a very simple one. It's even embedded on the quarter that has her face. E ho mai ka ike mai luna mai e o nā mea huna no e au o nā mele e. And it basically says, grant us wisdom from above, and that which is hidden, that which is embedded in the lyrics of songs. Being a hula master, it was a perfect setting for her students to go deeper in what they were called to do. But I believe it applies to every area of life, even today. The Bible says that if any of you lacks wisdom, let him ask of God. He will give it to us freely and without holding back, no impartiality. The Bible also says that it's the glory of God to conceal a matter, but it is the glory of a king, a leader, to seek it out. And so if you know this prayer, you can join me. If not, just allow the prayer to do what it needs to do and fill our hearts and our lives and prepare us as we're on the threshold of making so many decisions for Hawaii County. E pule kako. E humai gai mai luna mai e o na mele huna noia o na mele. E humai, e humai, e humai, e humai gai mai luna mai e o na mea huna noela o na mele. E humai. E ho mai, e ho mai, e ho mai, gai ke mai luna mai e o na mele una noia o na mele e ho mai, e ho mai, e ho mai e. And this ole pule ends with endow us, enrich us, and empower us. And we ask this, all these blessings, through your Son, Jesus Christ. Maka ino Yesu Christo. Amen. God bless you all. Have a good day.
Mahalo nui, Pastor. With that, calling this meeting to order at 9:04. Mr. Clerk, roll call, please.
Councilmember Galimba.
Here.
Councilmember Eustis.
Present.
Councilmember Kagiwana.
Here.
Councilmember Connolly Kleinfelder.
Here.
Councilmember Kirkowitz.
Present.
Councilmember Kimball.
Here.
Vice Chair Onishi.
Present.
Councilmember Villegas.
Ayo.
Chair Inaba.
Eo.
Chair Inaba, we have all 9 members present here in Kona Chambers.
Thank you. Would you please lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance? Please stand if you feel comfortable doing so. Thank you. And before we begin today's official meeting, we have a certificate to present on behalf of the council, and we'd like to call forward we're going backwards in time, folks, our June 2026 Havil Award recipient. We weren't able to schedule him in June, so we have two in July, one for July and one for June now from the police department. So I'd like to call our awardee forward, as well as the introducing supervisor, to share a little bit about the reason for his selection. And this Havil Award, created by the County Council, recognizes our fire and police personnel who go above and beyond in service to our community. So good morning.
Good morning. I'm Lieutenant Brandon Manser from the Hawaii Police Department's Juvenile Aid Section. I work with Detective John Kari, who also works in the Juvenile Aid Section here in Kona. So I prepared a speech that I'm going to read out. It is my privilege to say a few words about Detective John Kari and the work that led me to nominate him for the Havil Award. On October 31st, 2025, Detective Kari began investigating a deeply concerning situation involving an adult male who had traveled from Canada to Hawaii to meet a minor who he had contacted through an online gaming platform. Detective Kari's investigation led him to believe that the suspect had flown to Hawaii Island with ill intentions. This case was also very time sensitive, as the suspect was believed to be preparing to leave the island on the next available flight. Detective Kari immediately recognized the urgency of the situation. He worked late into the evening to preserve evidence, establish the facts, and develop the probable cause necessary to take enforcement action. The following day, Detective Kari posted up at the Ellison Onizuka Kona International Airport and coordinated with our law enforcement partners at that location to keep a lookout for the suspect should he attempt to check in for any flights. When the suspect was ultimately spotted attempting to check in at the airport, Detective Kari responded immediately and placed him under arrest before the suspect could leave the island. However, the arrest was only the beginning. Detective Kari continued the investigation by preparing and executing multiple search warrants and personally reviewing a substantial amount of digital evidence. This required patience, technical skill, sound judgment, and extraordinary attention to detail. His work ultimately contributed to a grand jury indictment for sexual assault in the first degree, promoting child abuse in the first degree, and promoting child abuse in the third degree. Investigations involving the exploitation of children are among the most difficult cases our detectives handle. They often require investigators to make critical decisions with incomplete information under intense time pressure while remaining focused on the safety and well-being of the child. Detective Kari demonstrated exactly what we expect from an experienced juvenile aid section detective. He acted decisively without sacrificing thoroughness. He remained professional under pressure, worked effectively with our partner agencies, and followed the evidence where it led. Most importantly, his actions helped protect a child and ensured that a suspected offender did not simply leave Hawaii before the investigation could be completed. Although this particular case brought his work to the attention of the County Council, Detective Kari's performance was not an isolated example. It reflects the same commitment, professionalism, and high standard of work that he brings to every investigation assigned to him. Detective Kari does not perform this work for recognition. Like many outstanding public servants, he simply sees what needs to be done and does it, quietly, thoroughly, and with a genuine commitment to protecting the most vulnerable members of our community. John, your actions in this case reflect great credit upon yourself, the Juvenile Aid Section, and the Hawaii Police Department. I am proud to have nominated you, and I'm honored to sit here today as you receive this well-deserved recognition.
Mahalo.
Mahalo, Lieutenant, for that wonderful introduction. Detective, if you'd like to address the council or share a few words, please go ahead.
I'd just like to say thank you, and thanks for giving us the opportunity to come in and do this stuff.
Mahalo, Detective. Opening it up to the council. Councilmember Kaniali'i Kleinfelder.
Thank you. Do you have kids?
Two grown now. Yeah.
2 girls.
No, two, but they're grown.
2 grown.
Yeah.
I have 3 and a grandson. Can I ask the age of the person that was involved in this case?
Minor, under the age of 14.
Under the age of
14.
14. Thank you. If that was my daughter, I think arresting him would have been the most minimal thing I would have done to that man. And there's an ongoing conversation about trafficking. And this is basically the definition of exploitation and trafficking. This is what it looks like, and you stopped it. So thank you. You also sent a message to anybody who is, because this isn't going to be an isolated incident. You sent a message to whoever does this, and you let them know that we're watching and that our officers in HPD are more than able to stop this kind of thing, and that we are watching, and that we're going to show up and we're going to take care of our community. I had a friend reach out to me about HPD, and I think the statement, and I see this a lot, everyone has a distrust of our officers, but the reality is that distrust stops when they need us. You folks do so much for our community, and it's never taken for what it's worth. So thank you for doing what you do. Keep on doing it. Thank you for protecting our Kiki.
Councilmember Villegas.
From the bottom of my mother's heart, as a tutu now, as a sister, a daughter, an auntie, thank you. Thank you. To your partner, is this your wife? Yeah, thank you. The toll it takes psychologically, emotionally, spiritually to have to go through all of those files, the utter disdain and disappointment that there are members of humanity who operate in the world with such vile intention. Thank you for being willing, for leaning in, stepping up, watching every detail, and not letting the tragedy of the circumstances you were called to investigate break you. Please continue to take care of yourself. This award could never be enough for the life that you have changed, for the freedom that you have brought, and for the justice that will now come to the person who's made such vile decisions. My heart goes out to you and your family, and thank you for your role of service and your willingness to persevere in light of such carnage. It's like another twist on the already incredible burden that you carry. So thank you for bringing John to council today and for this opportunity to honor you and show our deepest gratitude and respect for the work you do, and beautifully written speech about him. I see the respect and camaraderie. So thank you from the bottom of my heart. Appreciate you. I yield.
With that, on behalf of the entire council and the constituents we represent, we're honored to present the June 2026 Haveo Award to you, Detective, and we pray that you continue to do the good work for our community, and we're all here to support our police department, Ohana, and the work that you all do across our island. So with that, if we would please rise for the presentation of the Haveo Award. Kelei mai lau ka ula I ke kaiea o ka malama o ni I haua maliea. A malie ua pa e ka inu aila. Ke inu maila na hala o na we I ke kai. No na we ka hala, no puna e ka wahine, no ka lua no I ki la wea e. Ho mai kai. And with that, we'll be in a brief recess for some photos. We'll be back at 9:20. Mahalo. Mahalo, calling this meeting back to order. It's 9:20 a.m. and we will proceed with, let's see, statements from the public on agenda items.
Thank you, Chair Naba. We're going to start here in Kona with 2 testifiers, and then we'll go to our outer sites and Zoom, and then we'll end here in Kona with our final 2 testifiers. So I would ask Ms. Susan Durson and Ms. Brenda Ford to please come forward, provide testimony on Bill number 165. Ms. Durson, you can activate the microphone. There should be a button at the bottom with the green sticker on it that will then turn the light red. Ms. Durson? Oh, go ahead. Oh, there you go.
John, mine does not.
You're ready. You're ready to go. Whoever would like to go first may proceed, and you'll have 3 minutes. And you're good, Ms. Durson.
I'm good.
You are. But you just need to push that button. There you go. Okay.
Good.
Yeah. You'll have 3 minutes. Please start by introducing yourself.
Okay, well, thank you very much for taking my testimony. My name is Susan Durson. I live in Captain Cook. For 20 years, since I first gathered petition signatures, I've been a committed supporter of PUNC and then of the maintenance fund. And now I'm here to say if you can't make meaningful changes to Bill 165, please vote it down. Attention from the beginning, of course, has been on PUNC acquisitions, but the truth is that the success of the program depends on maintenance. And these nonprofit groups have been wonderfully able and dependable. Often they have a special affinity for the land and they develop relationships among themselves. It's a wonderful community strengthening program. But they deserve consistent funding. They shouldn't have to come before you to beg for the payments that they've already been promised, and that has happened several times. It needs to be put wording into the charter. The code just isn't good enough. It's easier to change it, of course, and it can be paused or delayed or redirected. So they should have that security of consistent funding. Finally, you have to recognize that the program actually came from grassroots, and there's still a great deal of support for it in this county, and even across the islands, there's a lot of respect and admiration for it, which means that the public should be able to follow details so that if I'd like to believe that the will for amendment it exists, and if it does, I hope you'll consider one of the simplest is to ensure the yearly transfer of the 0.25% into the fund. And then from there, the details of how the money is dispersed, to whom, when, and so on. And finally, the responsibilities of the commission. So if you don't think the amendment's going to work, please vote against 165.
Thank you for your testimony, Ms. Durson. Ms. Ford, you may proceed. Please start by introducing yourself.
Thank you. My name is Brenda Ford. I'm from District 6/7. Redistricting kind of caught me and moved me around. I served as a council member And I would like to tell you how upset I am that people come to us as council members, although I'm no longer a council member, and ask us to do something to help the public. And a lot of times they get turned down. And then they get a group together and we get petitions and we go out and we get them signed. We spend hours doing this and we finally get it onto a ballot, which was not easy. And then we try to get you to enforce it. And that's the problem. We can't get you to, we the people, can't get you, the county, to enforce the laws. So I have given you 4 pages of comments here. I'm not going to discuss all of them. I'm going to just do the first maybe page and a half. This is an issue that I have fought since I landed on this island in 1995. The use of the words shall and may, and the administration conveniently chooses to define the word shall as discretionary so that they don't have to do what we want them to do and what we work so hard to do. I would like to say that in all legislations where the word shall, meaning mandatory, should be enforced, that we stop using the word shall. Excuse me. We need to use the word mandatory, required, must, anything that will stop the people from having to fight with the state and in the courts to define the word shall as mandatory. In my experience, I have written bills with the word shall, and they've been appealed all the way to the state Supreme Court. And the state Supreme Court ruled that it shall means mandatory. It's not for just that particular document or bill or resolution. It's all the time. It's mandatory. I've had Deputy Corporation Counsel stand in front of me and say, well, I don't agree with the Supreme Court's ruling, so we're not going to abide by it. It's really hard not to feel the urge to get violent after you've worked so hard to get something passed for the good of the people that they've requested. I have seen Judge Ibarra, who's now retired, a wonderful judge. He's ruled 3 times on cases with the word shall, meaning mandatory, and he's ruled that it means mandatory. We have had this fight forever. It needs to stop. Do I have 30 seconds or I'm done?
No, I'm sorry. That's your 3
That's
minutes.
fine. Please read the rest of this, and I'm going to have to say vote no on this legislation.
Thank you for your testimony. Mr. Araceli, could you please help us with testimony from Outer Sites and Zoom?
Thank you so much. Chair, your next testifier is Corey Hardin via Zoom, testifying on Bill 165, to be followed by Amadeo Markov. Corey, when you're ready to begin, if you could just introduce yourself, and you'll have 3 minutes.
Good morning, council members. Corey Hardin commenting on Bill 165 about PONC. Please follow the advice of knowledgeable community people who have been working for years to support PONC. PONC does not work without a well-designed and well-run maintenance fund. Declaring land as protected is just the first step. The land needs ongoing care. Invasive species need to be taken out. Cultural resources need to be cared for. Facilities that make the land more accessible to the public, like interpretive signs and pavilions and restrooms, need upkeep. And caring for the land brings the community together, which is invaluable. We all know what happens when we don't care for the land. Forests have been decimated by pin-to-pin bulldozing. There's arsenic in the soil all over the island, in the sediment at the bottom of Wailoa River, and Hokulea soil from improper bulldozing washed into the ocean, impacting marine life. Up to 90% of alkaline pools on our island have been destroyed or altered. Burials have been disturbed and countless petroglyphs have been lost. The value of setting aside land for protection and following up with ongoing care for that land cannot be overstated. You can have all kinds of laws to protect environmental, cultural, and historic resources on privately owned land, but when there's money to be made by getting around these laws, someone will get around them. The public can fight endless battles to protect this shoreline here and that forest there, or the public can become owner and steward of the land, be free of these battles, and focus on providing the care the land needs in perpetuity. To ensure this kind of future, please listen to the community people who care about the land and have years of experience with ponk. Thank you.
Thank you for your testimony. Chair, your next testifier is Amadeo Markov, to be testifying on bills 125 and 165, to be followed by Dane Kealoha. Amadeo, when you're ready to begin, please introduce yourself, and you'll have 3 minutes per agenda item if you clearly transition. If not, it'll be 3 minutes total.
Okay, mahalo. Can you folks hear me?
Yes.
Okay, excellent. Thank you. Aloha, Chair Inaba and council members. As you know, my name's Amadeo Markov, and I am here today in my personal capacity, although I do serve as a commissioner on the PONC board, our commission. The views I express today are my own and should not be interpreted as the official position of the commission. I'm here in strong support of Bill 165. First, I want to recognize the tremendous work that the founders of the 2% Land Fund, including Debbie Hetch and many others who fought to create one of Hawaii County's greatest conservation successes. Their dedication has permanently protected lands that otherwise may have been lost forever. Like them, I believe in stewardship, and it is just as important as acquisition. As a current commissioner, I have been firsthand that every property we acquire becomes a long-term responsibility. That land requires invasive species control, fencing, trail maintenance, cultural resource protection, wildlife prevention, public safety improvements, habitat restoration, and ongoing community stewardship. None of those responsibilities end after the county purchases the property. I also understand the concerns have been raised regarding the relocation of steward provisions from the charter into the county code. Those concerns deserve to be heard. However, after reviewing the companion draft code amendment, I believe those concerns have been substantially addressed. The proposed code establishes a comprehensive stewardship framework that includes property management plans, stewardship agreements, eligible expenditures, grant procedures, reporting requirements, public transparency, accountability measures, and continued involvement of the PONC Commission in reviewing stewardship grant recommendations before they come before council. To me, this is not a reduction in oversight. It is a modernization of the program that provides considerably more guidance than currently exists. I also support removing the outdated cap on the maintenance fund. While maintaining the current 0.25% transfer represents a reasonable compromise, although I would have loved to see it go to 0.5%. Removing the cap ensures that the inventory of protected lands, as the inventory of protected lands grows, the county has the ability to meet its stewardship obligations rather than being constrained by an arbitrary ceiling established years ago. Ultimately, this bill is about keeping the promise we made to the voters. Purchasing land is only the beginning. Caring for the land forever is the commitment. I respectfully ask for your support for Bill 165. Mahalo for your time and consideration on this incredibly important issue. Now, in reference to the bills for downtown Pahoa and the design review board, I want to also offer my strong support. My name is Amadeo Markov, as you know, and I live and work in Puna. I'm here today to make sure that you guys understand how important these bills are for us. Pahoa is unlike any community in Hawaii Island. It is unique in its history and distinctive architectural character and identity that residents and visitors immediately recognize. It is one of the few remaining plantation era towns whose sense of place is still very much alive. Growth of Pahoa is coming to Pahoa. The question is not whether it will happen, but whether we will guide it thoughtfully and allow it to occur without a clear vision. These 3 bills initially, I believe it's down to 2 now, established the downtown commercial zoning district for affected properties and updates the Pahoa Village Design District and clarifies responsibilities and procedures of the Design Review Committee. They also established the development standards and permitted uses of the new downtown Pahoa Commercial District. Together, they provide a coordinated framework for future development while preserving the character of the village. As someone who is deeply involved in Pahoa community, I believe these measures strike the right balance. We need investment, we need new businesses, we need housing and economic opportunity. But we also need to preserve what makes Pahoa special. Thoughtful design standards do not prevent development. They help ensure that new development contributes to the community rather than diminishing it. They provide certainty for property owners, developers, businesses, and residents alike by establishing clear expectations instead of leaving future decisions open to interpretation. Communities that preserve their identity often become stronger economically because people are drawn to authentic places with character rather than generic commercial corridors. These bills help protect the identity while still allowing Pahoa to evolve and prosper. I appreciate the years of work that have gone into these proposals, and I ask the council to support these bills. Mahalo, you guys, for all you do. We really appreciate your hard work. Thank you so much.
Thank you for your testimony. Chair, our next testifier is Dane Keohokālole testifying on Resolution 595, and then we can go to Gloria and the folks in Pahoa for their testifiers. Dane, whenever you're ready to begin, you can introduce yourself, and you'll have 3 minutes.
Thank you. Aloha kakahiaka, Chair and Council members. My name is Dane Keohokālole. I am the Director of INA Transactions for Hawaiʻi Land Trust, or HILT. I'm here today to testify in strong support of Resolution 595-26, which authorizes Hawaiʻi County to enter into an intergovernmental program agreement with USDA Natural Resources Conservation Service, or NRCS. This resolution is a critical procedural step that allows the county and HILT to seamlessly combine local PONC funds that were awarded for conservation with federal matching dollars from USD NRCS for conservation easement acquisitions. USDA is one of the largest funders of conservation projects in the country, and by tapping into these federal funds, HILT and the county are able to stretch the impact of PONC funds by bringing those matching federal dollars home to Hawaii Island, specifically to preserve our rich agricultural resources. The immediate impact of passing Resolution 595-26 is that it directly secures funding to protect the Kealoha family lo'i in Niuli'i. This was on April 22nd, the Council passed Resolution 513-26, which authorized the Finance Department to enter into negotiations for the acquisition of that conservation easement with the PONC funds. So as part of that proposal, HILT was able to secure an additional $150,000 matching grant from USD NRCS. However, in order for us to actually utilize those federal dollars, we need a program agreement that is agreed to by Hawaii County that allows both USDA and Hawaii County to work together. And that's exactly what Resolution 595-26 accomplishes. So while that's the immediate effect of this resolution, it is a much broader impact for the future. So this resolution and that particular transaction really creates a programmatic partnership between the county and USDA, and allows HILT in particular to preserve additional farmlands in the future, and allows us to bring those federal dollars as a match to PONC dollars on additional agricultural conservation easements. One thing that I participated in was the county's agri-food action planning that's happening now. And one of the things identified was that, the challenges for local farmers is long-term access to land. And so doing these conservation easements is one of the ways that we can make sure that local farmers keep productive agricultural land in their hands. I think this is kind of a gold standard for public, private, and federal partnership by bringing these matching federal dollars one-to-one with PONC. And so, I really urge you to pass Resolution 595-26, and I'll be available for questions if they come up. And mahalo.
Thank you so much for your testimony. With that, we can go to Gloria with all our testifiers in Pahoa before coming back to Kona to close them out. Gloria, if you could, please.
Good morning, everyone. We have, first of all, Tim Rowan commenting in support of Resolution 607-26, 608-26, Bills 125, 126, and 165, representing Malama Okuna and Black Sands Community Association. You have 3 minutes for each agenda item. Please restate your name for the record. Thank you.
All right, thank you, Gloria. Aloha and good morning. My name is Tim Rowan. I'm president of Malama Opuna and president of Black Sands Property Owners Association. I'm speaking in support of Resolution 607, Malama Opuna sponsored second annual Smoke It Up. Councilwoman Ashley Kirkowitz is a party girl. Ashley throws epic parties, but always with a purpose and for good causes. Activate is legendary for recognizing and rewarding exceptional local students, performers, athletes, and celebrating Kilauea recovery with great food and music. Later, Police Captain Pataray revealed at Neighborhood Watch, Activate was the quietest night ever in Puna. The entire district was chilling. Second annual Smoke It Up is a celebration of local food, music, culture, showcasing Hawaii's best chefs, musicians, and performers at our new home in downtown Pahoa. Our cause, Feed Puna. Harvest, inspect, process feral pig and other game locally. Make it available to the public. Puna's food insecurity rate is 43% in a state that imports 90% of its food. Dependency on shipments of processed food from the mainland is unsustainable. I took the feral pig butchery workshop in Mountain View in May and June. These well-attended classes are the general public learning how to safely process feral pig. An AI summary of attendees' conversation would stress our need to transition to a traditional Polynesian diet and more ocean access in Puna. Planning for the second annual Smoke It Up began right after the first. Our volunteer community is excited to improve the Smoke It Up experience from our new permanent home in Pahoa. Tickets are of value for Hawaii Island's best food and entertainment, and feeding Puna is a good cause. Thank you. I'll be transitioning to support of 608, a celebration honoring preservation of Honolulu Landing, 364 acres of Puna coastline, recently purchased by our can-do administration. He gets the double shaka, a great legacy for all. Emily Naoli, Eileen O'Hara, Ashley Kirkowitz, and many more have been working towards this day for many years and decades. Please join the Puna community, Malamo Puna lineal descendants at Kipaipai, Honolulu Landing, October 17th. Mahalo. Transitioning to speaking in support of Bill 165, amendment to the charter related to PONC. In March, Councilwoman Kirkowitz brought together the PONC community for a summit at the Ark of Hilo, a working group to identify problems and recommend changes to the 20-year-old program. After many weeks, Council and Committee hammered out broadly supported and prudent Bill 165 that I urge you to support, as well as please support Bills 125, 126. Thank you, Chair, Council. Mahalo for your consideration.
Thank you. Our next testifier is Jessica Wilkes, also from Malama Opuna and Black Sands Community Association, commenting in support of Resolution 607-26. Jessica, you have 3 minutes.
Thank you. Aloha, my name is Jessica Wilkes, and I am speaking in support of Resolution 607. I am the Vice President of Malama Opuna, and we are very proud to be the sponsor of the Smoke It Up Festival. I'm sure this will be a reminder to everybody, but we do have a feral pig problem here. We have over 400,000 feral pigs across all the Hawaiian Islands, and ours has the biggest problem. We have the most population. We know that Hawaii's fragile ecosystem can be destroyed by wild pigs. We know that they can damage and uproot native plants. They can create furrows that mosquitoes use to breed, and they can spread invasive plant seeds. They reproduce rapidly and they lack natural predators, so their numbers will remain high. I believe that is why we need the Smoke It Up Festival. It creates an opportunity to educate our neighbors about food security and the uses of wild pig from a destructive and invasive pest to a delicious protein. It is also raising funds for a much needed new USDA certified processing facility in Lower Puna. Right now, bringing pig and livestock to market typically requires people to transport their animals or meat to Hamakua, Kona, or Waimea. And I believe that every opportunity we take to educate and bring this situation to the forefront is an opportunity not wasted. Thank you for your time.
Thank you. Our last testifier is Eileen O'Hara, who's the Malama Opuna Executive Director, commenting in support of Resolution 607-26, 608-26, Bills 125, 126, and 165. Please restate your name for the record. You have 3 minutes for each. Let us know when you transition.
Aloha Council, and thank you for allowing us to provide testimony. My name is Eileen O'Hara, and I am testifying both on behalf of Malama Opuna in some cases and just as an individual in others. But Malama Opuna has been active in the stewardship program, so I'm going to start with Bill 165. I believe that Amadeo Markov gave you a very succinct and good reasons for supporting Bill 165. As a nonprofit that has participated in the stewardship program, it has significant problems. People mentioned money had to be given back. We're going to have to give back money on the Waiʻi because the county, God bless, just has not been able to complete the work they committed to, the archaeology study, the land survey, etc., in a timely manner. So we're going to have to cancel that contract and reapply. And this goes on and on. The functionings of the program are not ideal. Therefore, we had this summit in March of this year and decided that the best thing to do was to take certain language out of the charter and put it in the code. And we now have that code language coming forward, and we can debate on that for the next few months. We can get it right. But this program needs the changes that are being mandated through Bill 165 in order to start functioning with flexibility. And with that, I'm going to transition to Resolution 608. The money that is being put forward for the Kipaipai for the recent acquisition of Honolulu, we call it Honolulu Landing, but that's actually the name of the Ahupua'a, the 364 acres, I believe it is, was a original Ahupua'a and village site. And when we went to start planning the Kipaipai with the lineal descendants, and you probably have communication from Lehua Ka'ulu Kukui, we found that we had no money in the PONC program that could support a blessing ceremony. So this is the reason that Ms. Kirkowitz has put forward this resolution in order to provide some funding for that Kipaipai. Malama Opuna, which has been very involved in the acquisition of Honolulu, also put forward, the board decided they would put forward as much as $2,000. But it surprises me that we can't use any of the money that is set aside for stewardship to do a blessing. And that's just typical of some of the lack of flexibility of having that long list of expenditures in the county code, in the county charter, excuse me, and not in the county code, where we can revise it as needed. So I am in complete support of Bill 165 and, of course, Resolution 608. I'll move on to Resolution 607, which is giving funding to the Smoke It Up Festival. I believe Jessica Wilkes stated perfectly why this festival is so important. And this year we have expanded the use of proteins to be not just feral pig, but other feral animals that we have here on the island, also locally caught fish and locally raised cattle. So we're trying to celebrate livestock in general, and we're working very hard behind the scenes. This isn't known by all the council members, to stand up that slaughter unit on some ag land here that is part of the ag park that the state administers. So that is all moving forward. We're pretty excited about it. And lastly, I just want to thank Ms. Kirkowitz for putting together these bills, 125 and 126, spending the time in the community to hash out all of the issues. These are great bills for the Pahoa Village future and will help to guide us in its development well into the next few decades. So I fully support bills 125 and 126. And I thank the council for all the hard work that you do. Thank you.
Thank you. That's all for Pahoa.
Thank you, Gloria. Can I ask Miss Sammy Stambro to come forward by testimony on bill number 165? Yes, push the button. Yep, you're ready. Good to go. Just start by introducing yourself. You'll have 3 minutes.
There I am. My name is Sammy Stambro. I actually live in Hilo, but I've lived in Kona for 17 years. This is going to be hard. I have to do 20 years of history in 3 minutes. I'm really, really disturbed that there's a possibility that the open space can be taken out of the charter. I want to give you a really fast history, if I can. Back in the day when we set this up, it was because down in Ka'u, Hono'apo, that was taken over by a developer, they were asked, Trust for Public Land was asked to get it to public hands. That was not possible because the county had not 1 penny to spend on open spaces. And so a Trust for Public Land came in and gathered the money from different people. And at that time, they realized that even though the other islands had a percentage set aside in their taxes for this purpose, Big Island had nothing. And so we went to work, and what we had to do, TPL said you have to have an off-island person come in and do a poll before we can get involved. We did that. I spent $11,000 to have a poll done for TPL. I did it in the name of my husband as a memorial. We started working. The grassroots was incredible. Everyone came out. We had 100 people. We put this on the ballot because the council and the mayor did not want it. We worked so hard. We gathered 9,000 signatures, half of which the council or the county threw out because the person's middle name was, or initial wasn't there. They didn't put street, they didn't put avenue, they didn't put the year down. Stupid things they threw out, so we gathered signature. These are people all over this island. We handmade signs from used wood all around this island. We really worked hard as a grassroots group. We got it, I'm gonna have to go fast because it's 3 minutes, but we got it done. It was, the poll came out that it was 62% for 2%. We had 1 or 2. They came out with 2%. We took it to the voters. The voters were 63% for this. We took it to Mayor Kim, we took it to the council, and we were delighted. So really, really quickly, God, I can't believe I have to do this as fast. So really quickly, happened is Billy Kanoy.
Ms. Stambro, I'm sorry, but that is your 3 minutes. Provide testimony.
Okay. It has to say charter because it gets rated if it's not a charter. And you've got to fix it in a charter or else it'll be rated again.
Thank you for your testimony. Chair Naba, that's all the testimony we have for now at this point in the meeting.
Thank you, Mr. Clerk. Are there any amendments to the minutes of the May 5th, 2026 council meeting? Seeing none, the minutes are deemed approved, and we'll proceed with reports.
Is there any testimony for GOAC 144, Communication 946? Hearing none, GOAC 144, Communication 946, nomination of Shauna Kailua-Kona to the Hawaii County Cultural Resources Commission.
Chair motion to close file on GOEAC-144 and confirm the nomination of Shauna Kailua-Kona to the Cultural Resources Commission.
Second. Moved by Councilmember Kirkowitz, seconded by Councilmember Eustis to close file on Communication 946 and confirm the nomination of Shauna Kailua-Kona to the Cultural Resources Commission. All those in favor, please say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries 9 ayes. The nomination of Shauna Kailua-Kona to the Cultural Resources Commission has been confirmed.
Is there any testimony for our GOAC 145, Communication 947? Hearing none, GOAC 145, Communication 947, nomination of Jonathan Zeichner to the Hamakua Community Development Plan Action Committee.
Chair motion to close file on GOEAC-145, Communication 947, and confirm the nomination of Jonathan Zeichner to the Hamakua CDP Action Committee.
Moved by Councilmember Kirkowitz, seconded by Councilmember Kimball to close file on Communication 947 and confirm the nomination of Jonathan Zeichner to the Hamakua CDP Action Committee. All those in favor, please say aye. Any opposed? Motion carries 9 ayes. The nomination of Jonathan Zeichner to the Hamakua CDP Action Committee has been confirmed.
Is there any testimony for Resolution 594-26? Hearing none, Resolution 594-26 authorizes the mayor to enter into a cooperative service agreement with the United States Department of Agriculture, Animal and Plant Health Inspection Service, Wildlife Services relating to a wildlife damage management program for the Hilo solid waste and wastewater treatment facilities, introduced by Councilmember Kagiwara by request.
Chair, motion to approve Resolution 594-26.
Moved by Councilmember Kagiwara, seconded by Councilmember Eustis to approve Resolution 594-26. All those in favor, please say aye. Any opposed? Motion carries 9 ayes. Resolution 594-26 has been approved.
Is there any testimony for Resolution 595-26? Hearing none, Resolution 595-26 authorizes the mayor to enter into an intergovernmental agreement with the United States Department of Agriculture Natural Resources Conservation Service for cost sharing to purchase a conservation easement for the Kealoha family lo'i, identified as tax map keys 52009-025 and 520009026 through the Public Access Open Space and Natural Resources Preservation Program. Allows for the receipt of federally derived matching funds for the acquisition of the Kealoha family lo'i conservation easement authorized by Resolution 513-26, introduced by Councilmember Kagiwara by request.
Motion to approve Resolution 595-26.
Second. Moved by Councilmember Kagiwara, seconded by Councilmember Eustis to approve Resolution 595-26. All those in favor, please say aye. Any opposed? Motion carries 9 ayes. Resolution 595-26 is approved.
Is there any testimony for Resolution 606-26? Hearing none, Resolution 606-26 transfers, appropriates, and appropriation out from a designated fund account and credits same to a designated fund account to provide a grant to Grassroots Community Development Group for the expenses relating to the For the Love Festival. Transfers $5,500 from the Clerk Council Services Contingency Relief Account, Council District 5, and credits to the Department of Liquor Control Public Programs Account, introduced by Councilmember Conley Kleinfelder.
Chair, motion to approve Resolution 606-26.
Moved by Councilmember Conley Kleinfelder, seconded by Councilmember Kirkowitz to approve Resolution 606-26. Councilmember Conley Kleinfelder.
A brief mahalo to Ms. Trina Namyo, who is absolutely amazing, and for her age, quite energetic, because she puts on some serious dance moves at these festivals she's throwing. So I just appreciate Ms. Trina. Thank you.
Thank you. All those in favor of approving Resolution 606-26, please say aye. Any opposed? Motion carries 9 ayes. Resolution 606-26 is approved.
Is there any additional testimony for Resolution 607-26? Hearing none, Resolution 607-26 transfers, appropriates, and appropriation out and from a designated fund account Credit same to a designated fund account by the grant to Malama Opuna for the second annual Smoke It Up Festival. Transfers $5,000 into Clerk Council Services, Contingency Relief Account, Council District 4, and credits to Department of Research and Development, Agriculture, Other Current Expenses account, introduced by Councilmember Kirkowitz.
Chair, motion to adopt Resolution 607-26.
Moved by Councilmember Kirkowitz, seconded by Councilmember Kleinfelder to approve Resolution 607-26. Councilmember Kirkowitz.
Thank you. This particular festival grew out of a research project around feral pig population in Puna and ways in which we can take that liability and turn it into an asset and increase food security and nourish our communities. It's catalyzed a lot of work around grant making and establishing a community kitchen in Pahoa. And so this particular event raises awareness about all the great work that's happening by Malama Opuna and community partners to deal with those pesky backyard pigs. We actually had to move the date of the festival, Chair. So at this time, I'd like to amend this resolution with Communication 966.1.
Moved by Councilmember Kirkowitz, seconded by Vice Chair Onishi to amend Resolution 607 with the contents of Communication 966.1.
Thank you. This swaps out the exhibit. The event is no longer taking place this Saturday, actually being moved to Saturday, November 14th, same venue in Pahoa. Looking for everyone's support on this. Thank you.
Thank you. Any discussion on the amendment? Seeing none, all those in favor of amending Resolution 607 with the contents of Communication 966.1, please say aye. Any opposed? Motion carries, 9 ayes. A motion to suspend our rules for further discussion. Moved by Councilmember Kirkowitz, seconded by Vice Chair Onishi to suspend our rules. Roll call vote, please.
On the motion to suspend the rules, Councilmember Galimba.
Aye.
Councilmember Hustis.
Aye.
Councilmember Kagiwara.
Aye.
Councilmember Connolly Kleinfelder.
Aye.
Councilmember Kirkowitz.
Aye.
Councilmember Kimball.
No.
Vice Chair Onishi.
Aye.
Councilmember Villegas.
Honolulu.
Chair Inaba.
Aye.
Councilmember Villegas.
Aye.
Chair Inaba, you have 8 votes in favor with Councilmember Kimball opposed. The motion carries. The rules are suspended.
Thank you. Any further discussion on Resolution 607 as amended? Seeing none, all those in favor, please say aye. Any opposed? Motion carries, 9 ayes. Resolution 607-26 as amended is approved.
Is there any testimony for Resolution 608-26? Hearing none, Resolution 608-26 transfers, appropriates, and appropriation out from a designated fund account, credit same to a designated fund account by the grant to the Kili'ipio Ku'omo'o Foundation Incorporated for a kipa'ipa'i ceremony honoring the preservation of Honolulu Landing. Transfers $2,500 of Clerk Council Services Contingency Relief Account, Council District 4, and credits to Department of Liquor Control Public Programs Account, introduced by Councilmember Kirkowitz.
Chair, motion to approve Resolution 608-26.
Second.
Moved by Councilmember Kirkowitz, seconded by Councilmember Hustis to approve Resolution 608-26.
Thank you, Chair. I'm so grateful to the administration for making it a priority to acquire Honolulu Landing. It was a property that's been on the PONC list for many, many years. The original resolution was introduced by then Councilmember Emily Naole, and I was grateful to add a bit more urgency when this property was listed for sale on the market. The administration worked very swiftly to acquire it, and so we've been working with lineal descendants of the area. Lehua Kalukui reached out to talk about hosting a Kipaipai ceremony in October, so this funding will help support that community celebration. So I appreciate the collaboration with community, Mayor Alameda and his team, and our office for making this happen. Looking for everyone's support. Thank you. I yield.
Thank you. All those in favor of approving Resolution 608-26, please say aye. Any opposed? Motion carries, 9 ayes. Resolution 608-26 is approved.
Is there any testimony for Bill 168, which is at first reading? Hearing none, Bill 168 repeals ordinance numbers 19-38, 09-50, 09-49, 06-138, 06-137, 95-118, 92-36, 90-10, 86-49, 533 out of 1980, and 594 out of 1973, and amends Chapter 25, Article 8, Section 25-8-3 North Kona zoning map, and Section 25-8-5 Kailua urban zoning map of the Hawaii County Code 1983, 2016 edition as amended by changing district classification from village commercial 7,500 square feet and multiple family residential 2,500 square feet to double family residential 3,750 square feet and agricultural 5 acres at Keohokālole, 4th, 5th, and 6th North Kona, Hawaii, covered by tax map key 750100013. Planning Director initiated, area 6.467 acres. The Leeward Planning Commission forwards its fair recommendation to revert the current zoning of 3.331 acres from village commercial to double family residential and 3.227 acres from multiple family residential to unplanned zoning district. This property is located on the north side of Hualalai Road, approximately 1,000 feet east of its intersection with Kukina Highway, Keohokālole, 4th and 5th North Kona. Introduced by Councilmember Kimball by request. We have communication 937.2 from Councilmember Heather L. Kimball, dated July 7, 2026, transmitting proposed amendments to Bill 168.
Chair, motion to approve Bill 168 at first reading.
Moved by Councilmember Kimball, seconded by Councilmember Galimba to approve Bill 168 at first reading. Anybody?
Motion to amend the contents of Bill 168 with the contents of communication 937.4.
Moved by Councilmember Villegas, seconded by Councilmember Kirkowitz to amend Bill 168 with the contents of communication 937.4. Councilmember Villegas?
Yes, thank you, Chair Inaba, for taking the initiative to put this amendment in, which would require, I mean, this is an interesting circumstances as we're down zoning, but we don't want to lose the opportunity for affordable housing and the requirements that come along with that. I don't know if you'd call it a down zoning, but usually things go back to ag, and instead it's going back to different zoning. So I'm in full support of there being the requirement of affordable housing to be taken into consideration with this. I yield.
Thank you. Vice Chair Onishi.
Thank you, Chair. Can I get Planning Department and Corporation Council to the table? Or is Jean Campbell in Hilo?
She is on, should be on Zoom.
So Jean Campbell is not here then? Oh, she is. Oh, there she is. Okay. She's in Hilo. Huh? Yeah, but Hilo. I mean, so I just want to get some clarification about how, because we're going back to the original zoning, right? And are we able to put in conditions?
Aloha Chair, aloha Vice Chair, members of the Hawaii County Council, Jeff Darrow with the Planning Department. At our last meeting, we delved a little bit into this discussion. As mentioned, I personally, in working with the Planning Department, have never seen the council add a condition to a reversion or revocation or repeal of a zoning ordinance. And it becomes more of a legal question whether or not you can do that, whether it's, I don't know if we're looking at takings or what it would be. That would again be a legal question. When I look at Chapter 11, the language there, the proposed condition says meet the requirements of Chapter 11. Chapter 11 says that that affordable housing requirements are required for all new rezonings that add additional units. This one is a repeal of all the ordinances that change the zoning, and it's repealing it back to its original. Granted, the original zoning is RD, which does allow for a particular amount of residential units, and Ag 5 for half of it. So again, I think it would be good to hear from Corporation Counsel in regards to the legality of the question.
Okay.
Thank you.
So, Ms. Campbell, can you, on the legal part of this issue?
Good morning, everybody. Jean Campbell, Deputy Corporation Counsel. Apologies that I'm unable to be there in Kona with you, and so I'm in my office because the Hilo Council chambers are closed this morning. As you know, the state grants the zoning powers to the counties, and that grant under Chapter 46 of the Hawaii Revised Statutes is very, very broad. So the state authority to the counties does not prohibit the conditioning of a reversion like this. However, anytime the government generally is imposing conditions on approvals, we as the government need to be able to identify the impact that our approval is having, and then all conditions, in order to be constitutional according to the United States Supreme Court, conditions must be rationally related to the impact that's happening. So we have to be able to say, this is what's going on here, and we are going to mitigate that impact by this condition. And they also need to be roughly proportional. And so I believe when I've spoken to you about this in the past, the examples that I've given you are, again, very simplified, but if a property is being changed from, for example, agricultural to commercial properties, it wouldn't be appropriate for us to condition that approval by asking for a school, because a commercial property doesn't create students. And again, on the proportionality side, a very simplified example, if we were granting additional residential density, that does potentially generate students. So school-related conditions could be rationally related. If we are creating 10 lots, we can't ask for an entire school, because 10 to 20 perhaps new students don't generate the need for an entire school. If we were, I don't know what the number is, but say we're granting an approval for 1,000 lot residential increase in density, then maybe asking for a whole school would be proportional. So in order to identify a condition that would be appropriate for a reversion like this, the council would need to identify the impact that this reversion has, and then make sure that any condition you attach is rationally related to that impact and is also proportional. And I would agree with everything that Director Darrow has said, and note that he's correct that to our knowledge, there are no other properties in the county of Hawaii with their original zoning with any kind of conditions attached.
Okay. And can you mention, or can you explain a little bit about the Chapter 11?
Again, I'm not an expert in Chapter 11, so I consulted with the Deputy Corporation Counsel in our office who works with housing. We both took a look at it and came to the same conclusion that Director Darrow did, that it would not, a reversion such as this would not trigger any Chapter 11 requirements, because it's not a new rezoning.
Okay, thank you. So on Corporation Council's recommendation to the body, should we not approve this amendment?
If that's a question to me, I think that is the sort of answer that I would prefer to give you in executive session rather than open session. And I'll also defer to Renee, our actual Corporation Counsel, who's, I assume, is in Kona with you.
Would you come up?
Good morning, Renee Sean, Corporation Counsel. So to the extent that you or anybody else on the body has further questions, I would ask that it not be an open session.
Okay. Mr. Chair, I can wait until, other discussions. If not, can I make a motion to go into executive session?
We'll hear from Councilmember Kimball.
Yeah, I would actually just like to hear from the applicant on their position with respect to this amendment.
Thank you. The applicant and your representative would like to come forward.
Good morning, council members. My name is Ronald Kim. I'm helping represent the applicant, the J family, and with me is Darren Arai, and a representative from the J family is in the audience as well here, Mr. Andy J. So the applicant actually would object to the proposed amendment. I think there are a number of legal issues that are raised. I think Ms. Campbell did a great job of explaining. There's a takings issue. There's also an issue of unequal treatment. But I think the most important issue, the one that's easiest to really wrap your heads around, is the applicability of Chapter 11. Looking at Hawaii County Code Section 11-4A1, the affordable housing requirements will apply to new rezonings that would result in increased residential use. In this case, it's very clear to me, at least, that there's not going to be an increase in residential use with the proposed action. It would actually result in a decrease of residential use. There's going to be, I think, 62 less units by the planning department's calculations that a developer could potentially build on the property, due to the reversion of zone. We also don't believe that it's a new rezoning as well, because it is a reversion where you're taking away, you're repealing prior zoning ordinances and just going back to the original zoning. So that was the main point we'd like to raise.
Councilmember Kimball, you still have the floor, unless you yield.
Yeah, thank you. I appreciate the amendment and the intention behind it, but I have concerns about the appropriateness, kind of in line with what Corporation Counsel Campbell mentioned, so I will not be supporting the amendment. Thank you.
Councilmember Kalimba.
Thank you. Similarly, I understand the intention and always wanting to look out for affordable housing, but I think it's both legally and practically inappropriate for this particular case. But happy to go into the executive session if other folks want to discuss this. Thanks.
Councilmember Villegas.
I want to thank Corporation Counsel for sharing your legal opinion, and it seems there are more complications related to this than we really need or perhaps should take up at this time, so I'd like to withdraw Communication 937.4.
Thank you. Communication 937.4 has been withdrawn. Any further discussion on Bill 168? Councilmember Kaniali Kleinfelder.
I was just checking, reading through the documents, there is mention of a royal patent on this property. Mr. Arai?
I'm Darren Arai, assisting the applicant. I'm not aware of a royal patent as it applies to this property. Where are you finding that information?
Both in Exhibit A and Exhibit B Exhibit B and Exhibit D, as in Delta.
Councilmember, which communication is this in?
This is on Bill 168, and it's at the bottom of Bill 168. So my question for the applicant is if a clear title has been provided or a quiet title action, if those have been covered in previous years or for this applicant specifically. Yes, please.
We'd like to check with our client quickly just to confirm that he had clear title when he purchased the property, because we were not with him at that stage.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thanks.
Let's table this.
Motion to table Bill 168.
Second.
Moved by Councilmember Kaniali Kleinfelder, seconded by Councilmember Villegas to table Bill 168. All those in favor, please say aye. Any opposed? Motion carries 9 ayes. Bill 168 is tabled. Please proceed with Bill 125.
Is there any additional testimony for Bill 125, which is its second and final reading? Hearing none, Bill 125 amends Chapter 25, Article 7, Division 4 of the Hawaii County Code 1983, 2016 edition as amended, relating to the Pahoa Village Design District, clarifies duties, procedures, and other regulations regarding the Pahoa Village Design Guidelines and the Pahoa Design Review Committee, makes other technical and non-substantive amendments. Introduced by Councilmember Kirkowitz. First reading was July 8, 2026.
Chair, motion to approve Bill 125 on second and final reading.
Moved by Councilmember Kirkowitz, seconded by Vice Chair Onishi to approve Bill 125 at second and final reading. Councilmember Kirkowitz.
Thank you. It's surreal to think that we finally arrived at this moment after many years of community engagement. The Pahoa Village Design Guidelines were adopted by the council in 2013, and the idea was to preserve the village's small town, plantation-era character and guide future investments in development and renovations. Projects like the Punakai Shopping Center demonstrate that thoughtful development and community character and identity can coexist. This bill is largely a housekeeping measure. It clarifies how the Design Review Committee will be convened and the role that the Puna CDP Action Committee will play in identifying those individuals. It also provides clear guidelines for any applicant that is navigating the review process for building renovations as well as new developments so that, again, the result of the design reflects Pahoa's identity, sense of place, small town charm, and creates a very cohesive and welcoming atmosphere. I just want to thank everybody that has contributed to this effort over the years and respectfully ask my colleagues for their continued support. Thank you.
All those in favor of approving Bill 125 at second and final reading, please say aye. Any opposed? Motion carries 8 ayes, 1 excuse. Councilmember Kaneali'i Kleinfelder. Bill 125 is approved at second and final reading.
Is there any additional testimony for Bill 126, Draft 3? Hearing none, Bill 126, Draft 3 amends Chapter 25, Articles 1, 3, 5, and 7 of the Hawaii County Code 1983, 2016 edition as amended, relating to special districts, creates the downtown Pahoa Commercial District as a new special zoning district, establishes new permitted uses. Introduced by Councilmember Kirkowitz. First reading was July 8, 2026.
Chair, motion to approve Bill 126, Draft 3 on second and final reading.
Moved by Councilmember Kirkowitz, seconded by Vice Chair Onishi to approve Bill 126 at second and final reading.
Thank you, Chair. Another bill many years in the making. This particular effort was initiated because the community initially wanted to do a master plan for Pahoa. But a series of events like volcanic eruptions and the COVID pandemic made it very clear that this traditional master plan may not be what the universe has in mind for our community. With more than 330 property owners in the Pahoa Town Village, achieving consensus around a singular vision and figuring out how we would pay for it proved to be very difficult. And so we asked ourselves, as a planning hui, a very different question. What sort of legislative tools that do we have access to so that we can actually empower property owners and community to shape Pahoa's future? And this is what this particular bill accomplishes. The Downtown Pahoa Commercial Special District is intended to help realize the vision that the community established through the Puna CDP, the Kilauea Recovery and Resilience Plan, all the frickin' plans that exist to showcase Pahoa's role as a thriving regional town center. It expands opportunities for economic activity by allowing for a broader range of compatible uses, including light industrial and cultural enterprises, while remaining consistent with the area's state land use designations. I think it's really important to emphasize that this designation does not impose new taxes or fees or costs on property owners. It provides flexibility for those who choose to invest in their properties and in downtown Pahoa. I also want to note that this process is entirely voluntary. So if it doesn't work for you, You can ignore it and just continue to maintain your current zoning, but if this is something that you would like for yourself and your property, please reach out to the planning department so they can help facilitate that process. Again, this legislation reflects many, many years of hard work and collaboration and is in direct response to what the community has asked for many years. Give us the opportunity to direct our own futures in a way that ensures Pahoa's character is preserved. I want to thank the Planning Department, Corporation Council, my team, LRB, and just the massive community hui for the many years of engagement and support to finally get to this point over the finish line. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you. All those in favor of approving Bill 126, Draft 3 at second and final reading, please say aye. Any opposed? Motion carries. 8 ayes, 1 excuse. Councilmember Villegas. Bill 126, Draft 3 is approved at second and final reading.
Is there any testimony for Bill 163, Draft 2? Hearing none, Bill 163, Draft 2 amends Chapter 19, Article 8 of the Hawaii County Code 1983, 2016 edition as amended relating to real property taxes. Establishes a new real property tax dedication for certain properties that are owned by a descendant of a person who owned the property at least 100 years ago to be subject to the minimum tax. Introduced by Councilmember Hustis, first reading July 8, 2026.
Chair, motion to approve Bill 163, Draft 2 at second and final reading.
Moved by Councilmember Hustis, seconded by Vice Chair Onishi to approve Bill 163, Draft 2 at second and final reading. Councilmember Hustis.
Thank you, Chair. I first want to thank my District 9 team, my colleagues here on the dais, Real Property Tax Division. I know they're not here with us today, the administrators, the Office of Hawaiian Affairs, and everyone who took the time to provide testimony and participate in the legislative process regarding this measure. The amendments that we adopted in committee improve transparency, strengthen the administration of the program, and ensure the legislation remains practical and accountable while preserving its original purpose. At its heart, Bill 163 is about helping preserve generational family lands, the goal being that the future generations have the same opportunity to care for these lands as the generations who came before them. Across Hawaii Island, there are families who continue to steward lands that have been passed down through generations. These properties are more than parcels on a tax map. They represent family history, genealogy, culture, identity, and a lasting connection to place. No single policy can address every challenge facing generational family lands and affordability, but property taxes are one area where we can make a meaningful difference. The goal of this bill is not simply reduce someone's property tax bill. It has also helped to qualify families keep generational lands in their family for the next generation. It's been an honor to work on this proposal and bring it before you, and I appreciate everyone who's helped strengthen along the way. I believe that Bill 163 represents a thoughtful, balanced, and meaningful step forward, and I respectfully ask for your support on this measure. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you. Any further discussion? Seeing none, thank you, Councilmember Hustis, for bringing this forward. All those in favor of approving Bill 163, Draft 2 at second and final reading, please say aye. Any opposed? Motion carries. 8 ayes, 1 excuse. Councilmember Villegas, Bill 163, Draft 2 is approved at second and final reading.
Is there any testimony for Bill 164, Draft 2? Hearing none, Bill 164, Draft 2 amends Chapter 2, Article 13, Division 2, Section 2-69 of the Hawaii County Code 1983, 2016 edition as amended, relating to the housing administrator, requires council confirmation for the housing administrator. Introduced by Councilmember Onishi, first reading July 8, 2026.
Motion to approve Bill 164, Draft 2.
Moved by Vice Chair Onishi, seconded by Councilmember Hustis to approve Bill 164, Draft 2 at second and final reading. Vice Chair Onishi.
Thank you, Chair. At this time, I would like to amend Bill 164, Draft 2 with the contents of Communication 914.4.
Moved by Vice Chair Onishi, seconded by Councilmember Hustis to amend Bill 164, Draft 2 with the contents of Communication 914.4. Vice Chair Onishi.
Thank you, Chair. And this is just adding in, which we didn't have, is that if the appointment or the mayor shall appoint the administrator within the 30 days of taking office or within the 60 days of being vacant. So I'm asking for you guys' support.
Thank you, Vice Chair Onishi. All those in favor of amending Bill 164, Draft 2, with the contents of Communication 914.4, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries, 9 ayes. Bill 164, Draft 2 has been amended.
Chair, can I make a motion to suspend Rule
Yes,
26, 23?
23. Is there a second? Moved by Vice Chair Onishi, seconded by Councilmember Villegas to suspend Rule 23 for further discussion on Bill 164 as amended. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Alrighty, roll call vote, please.
On the motion to suspend the rules, Councilmember Galimba.
Aye.
Councilmember Eustis.
No.
Councilmember Kagiwara.
Aye.
Councilmember Connolly Kleinfelder.
Aye.
Councilmember Kirkowitz.
Aye.
Councilmember Kimball.
No.
Vice Chair Onishi.
Aye.
Councilmember Villegas.
Aye.
Chair Nava.
Aye.
Chair Nava, you have 7 votes in favor with Councilmembers Eustis and Kimball opposed. The motion carries. The rules are suspended.
Thank you. Any further discussion? All those in favor of approving Bill 164, Draft 2 as amended on second and final reading, please say aye. Any opposed? Motion carries, 9 ayes. Bill 164, Draft 2 as amended has been approved at second and final reading.
Is there any,
yes.
excuse me,
Please, if we can go to Bill 168, motion please to remove Bill 168 from the table. Moved by Councilmember Kirkowitz, seconded by Vice Chair Onishi to remove Bill 168 from the table. All those in favor, please say aye. Any opposed? Motion carries, 9 ayes. Bill 168 is back on the floor. Mr. Arai and Mr. Kim, if you'd like to provide some answers to Councilmember Connolly Kleinfelder. Councilmember Connolly Kleinfelder, you have the floor.
Thank you.
Thank you, Councilmember Connolly Kleinfelder, for the question. It was a good question. We did check and confirm with our client, and there was clear title to the property when the family purchased the property. They did obtain a title report and title insurance from Title Guarantee, warranting the clear title.
Okay, and then a meets and bounds survey for
Yes.
both properties?
Yes, we do have that too.
Okay, thank you. Okay, just checking. Thank you very much.
Councilmember Kimball?
Yes, wanted to just do a temperature check. There is an amendment to remove the section that would be available for conditions, which I would like to put forward now unless anybody on the body would like to retain the opportunity to add conditions at our next discussion. I do not see any, so with that, motion to amend Bill 168 with the contents of Communication 937.2.
Moved by Councilmember Kimball, seconded by Councilmember Galimba to amend Bill 168 with the contents of Communication 937.2. Councilmember Kimball.
Yes, just housekeeping, since there will be no conditions added to this zoning ordinance, we will not need that section in the bill. Thank you.
Thank you. All those in favor of amending Bill 168 with the contents of Communication 937.2, please say aye. Any opposed? Motion carries, 9 ayes. Bill 168 has been amended with Communication 937.2. All those in favor of approving Bill 168 as amended at first reading, please say aye. Any opposed? Motion carries, 9 ayes. Bill 168 is approved at first reading. Mahalo, Mr. Arai and Mr. Kim, and to the applicant as well.
Mahalo, everyone. Thank you.
Mr. Araceli, can you please assist us? I believe we have some additional testifiers by Zoom for Bill 165, Draft 2.
Thank you so much. Our first testifier via Zoom is Deborah Ward. Deborah, if you'd like to unmute your mic by hitting *6, you can introduce yourself and you'll have 3 minutes. Deborah, if you are there, this is your opportunity to provide your testimony. If not, we can take our next testifier and come back.
I think I just unmuted. Is that correct?
Yes, you are. So you can
Oh,
introduce
thank you.
yourself.
I
and you'll
apologize
have 3
for
minutes.
having to call from the car. I had a doctor's appointment this morning. Good morning, everyone. Thank you very much for the opportunity to testify. My name is Deborah Ward. You've heard from me before. I feel that this this bill 165 was offered in haste without the community being able to see what the recommended code changes were, and as a result, it guts the charter without fixing the problems. The only problem it now purports to fix is that it removes the cap, for which I am very supportive. However, I believe that the omissions made when this charter amendment was offered have not been fixed, despite many efforts to offer testimony that provides corrections that could be made. As a result, I'm asking that you not pass Bill 165 because I believe that you are making the problem worse rather than making it better. And I think if we had more time and more community involvement, we'd be able to make this bill a much better bill. I think it's too bad we have to wait 2 years to do that. But on the other hand, I think that the Bill 165 as currently offered is not helping the situation. It's only making potential problems worse. Thank you for the opportunity.
Thank you for that. Our next testifier via Zoom is Susie Osborne. Susie, if you're ready to begin, you can unmute yourself, introduce yourself, and you'll have 3 minutes.
Okay, thank you very much. I'm testifying in support of 165. I was at the last reading, and I appreciated the rigorous, healthy discussions that occurred with this body and the Finance Department and Corporate Counsel. And I think many of the concerns and issues were thoughtfully addressed and amended. And I think this maintenance fund is really important as it stands right now. It's limiting and unclear. So what this bill does not do, it does not weaken the PONC maintenance fund, nor does it reduce the transparency or the public oversight. But what it does do is provide greater clarity around eligible activities, application procedures, and accountability. I think we're only going to see an increase in properties, and the need for maintenance is going to increase. We're going to need more funding for that. And I think that I've read through much of the opposition, and I think there's they seem to be a lot of copy and paste, and there seems to be a lack of understanding of or trust in the process that needs to happen with the steps that need to occur to get this in code. So I do hear Deborah's concerns, and I just respectfully request your support for Bill 165. Thank you.
Thank you so much. And with that, we can come back to Kona for our final testifier.
Thank you, Mr. Arcelli. Ms. Debbie Heck, please come forward by testimony on Bill number 165. You'll have 3 minutes. Please start by introducing yourself after you activate the microphone.
Good morning, council members. My name is Deborah Hecht, and I've been involved on the PONC 2% Land Fund since 2005. I gave you a handout, and you can see the preferred amendments that we presented to you. These were worked on very hard with a whole group of us, as was the charter amendment that you are gutting right now, which was vetted. I worked on that with Sally Rice at the Charter Commission in 2020. I agree with Ashley and the people at the PONC Summit that a lot of the details need to go into the code, where they're more nimble, where the council can change them, add to them, subtract from them. What I don't agree with, and what we don't agree with, and what a lot of people don't seem to understand, the charter can only be changed by a vote of the people. That's a good thing, because in the past, we learned the hard way when the whole program was in the code, the deposits were suspended for 2 years. Each of the PONC lands has a covenant that runs with it, and it says, these PONC lands were acquired by the County of Hawaii with 2% of our tax money. The county, they cannot be sold, mortgaged, transferred in any way. It shall be held in perpetuity for the use and enjoyment of the people of Hawaii. That means that the maintenance fund has to also survive to take care of these lands. We were told in 2006 that the county doesn't have the manpower to take care of these lands. The most heartening and really heartwarming byproduct of these maintenance funds and of the acquisition of these lands is the Kuleana communities that have grown up around them, where people have developed friendships and just for caring in the land. If you give too much power to the director, which you do in the present charter amendment, these nonprofits would have to go beg for money every year. It could be heavily politicized where favors could be dispensed via the director of finance. So I beg you to include safeguards on the accounting, the who, what, when, where, why needs to be in the charter, and that needs to be done every month. The deposits to the fund have to be at least yearly. Also, shall, as Brenda said, is discretionary. May is discretionary, shall is definite. So please, I gave you all the things that I feel very, very adamantly and deeply need to be included in the charter and in the process. Nowhere in the legislation right now is the commission included. Please either amend it or
This meeting is in recess. Thank you.
I thought you just couldn't hear me. Sorry. Thank you. Your time to provide testimony has elapsed.
All right, we can proceed. We're back in session. Thank you for your testimony.
Is there any additional testimony for Bill 165 Draft 2? Hearing none, Bill 165 Draft 2, which is a third and final reading, initiates an amendment to Article 10 of the Charter of the County of Hawaii 2024 edition relating to public access, open space, and natural resources preservation, removes the $3 million accrual limit for the Public Access, Open Space, and Natural Resources Preservation Maintenance Fund, provides that all expenses from the fund must align with the fund's purpose, and authorize the awarding of grants from the fund. Introduced by Councilmember Kirkowitz, passed first reading on June 17, 2026, second reading on July 8, 2026, and this is the third of three required readings and requires a 2/3 vote to pass.
Chair, motion to approve Bill 165 Draft 2 on third and final reading.
Moved by Councilmember Kirkowitz, seconded by Vice Chair Onishi to approve Bill 165 Draft 2 at third and final reading. Councilmember Kirkowitz.
Thank you, Chair, and I appreciate the robust discussion with community and my colleagues and the opportunity to take this to third and final reading. Bill 165 is a targeted amendment to our charter to improve how the county supports long-term stewardship of lands acquired through the Punk Preservation Fund and lands that have been nominated and acquired through conservation easement. This proposal is the product of months of discussion that began in March at a summit that included nonprofit stewards, current and former PONC commissioners, the Department of Finance, and PONC staff and community members who have been involved with PONC since its inception. The message coming out of the summit was very clear. There needs to be meaningful updates to the maintenance fund so that it can better support the organizations that have been entrusted to care for these important places. As introduced, the bill proposed to increase the annual transfer to 0.5%, remove the $3 million cap on the fund, and move the list of eligible stewardship activities and procedures for administering the fund into the county code. This was something that came right out of the summit that was agreed upon unanimously by summit attendees. Through this legislative process, the council has further amended the measure to actually retain the annual transfer at 0.25% while removing the $3 million cap. And I really appreciate everyone's thoughtful discussion and willingness to find common ground on this particular area. I think it strikes the right balance. It is prudent. We are maintaining the current funding percentage while allowing unspent funds to accumulate over time. It also provides flexibility. Every single council member and the administration can, through the budget process, increase that amount. The baseline is 0.25%. All of these funds, as the Deputy for Finance has confirmed in previous meetings, monies that were put into the maintenance fund have not been fully expended on an annual basis. So it's really hard to justify increasing the amount. Again, however, 0.25% is the baseline, and future councils and the administration have the ability to add more through the budgeting process. 165 is one piece of a broader effort. There is a companion code amendment that has been developed and circulated by community. I really appreciate the comments on that piece that have been provided by the Friends of Amy Greenwell, Debbie Ward, Beth Robinson, Jody Rosam. Folks are hungry to see these provisions in our county code so that if they need to be updated over time, we have the ability to do so as a council, which is still a very public and transparent process. There were many gaps that were also identified during the summit that this code piece would address. And if we are able to move forward with getting this particular question on the ballot, we as a council can work over the next few months to really refine this important companion measure. It also would not take effect unless the charter amendment passes. I understand that there are a couple of amendments from my colleagues that would work to provide additional clarity to the community and strengthen the overall work product. I appreciate and look forward to having that discussion. Thank you, Chair. Chair, motion to amend Bill 165, Draft 2 with the contents of Communication 915.7.
Moved by Councilmember Kirkowitz, seconded by Vice Chair Onishi to amend Bill 165 Draft 2 with the contents of Communication 915.7. Councilmember Kirkowitz.
Thank you, and I would like to have Deputy Finance Director come forward. Just by nature of our budgeting process and tax collections, there was an implicit understanding on the administration side that deposits into the maintenance fund would be made on an annual basis. That was not explicitly clear to the community. So this particular communication notes that at least annually deposits would be made. Just want to confirm that you've seen this language, Director, and fully understand the assignment.
Hi, thank you. Malia Kekai, Deputy Finance Director. Yes, we can confirm we've seen the language and we agree with it.
Any discussion on the amendment? Councilmember Connie Kleinfelder.
I appreciate the amendment mainly because when we start leaving things out like this and we leave question marks, then it becomes a problem. The bill needs to be specific in addressing both community concerns and intention of this section of our charter. Thank you.
Thank you. All those in favor of amending Bill 165 Draft 2 with the contents of Communication 915.7, please say aye. Any opposed? Motion carries. 9 ayes. If we're going to just jump right into the next amendment, I think that's fine.
Council's past practice says that if there are additional amendments that immediately follow, that is acceptable. Anything other than deliberating on the main motion that would lead to a final vote, that would require suspension of the rules.
Councilmember Kimball.
Motion to amend Bill 165 with the content of Communication 915.8.
Moved by Councilmember Kimball, seconded by Councilmember Villegas to further amend Bill 165 Draft 2 with the contents of Communication 915.8. Councilmember Kimball.
Yeah, this has two minor amendments. The first, with the request that we provided, or we were provided with for proposed amendments, I did kind of research standard legal language. This wording, itemized accounting of receipts and disbursements, is sort of a term of art with respect to financial accounting that would cover all of the items that were in the requested amendment. So that's just trying to keep it simple there. And then just the addition of item G, which would include the public notice of the annual opportunity for maintenance funds. So just adding that.
Any discussion? Councilmember Kirkowitz.
I just want to voice my support for these. I see them as friendly amendments, again, to strengthen the overall work products. I think with the finance department's new accounting system and grants management system, it will be so much easier to track nonprofit expenditures and sort of list those itemized receipts and disbursements on the website. And I do appreciate the provision about the public notice with the minutia of it moving into the code so that there's explicit direction by the finance department and clarity in community around when the applications are available, the timing of submitting them, and when awards are going to be made. In full support. Thank you.
Councilmember Kagiwara.
Thank you. Also in full support. I'm really thankful that the Councilmember Kimball introduced this, because I think, although I don't think it changes things overall, as Councilmember Kirkowitz mentioned, it's really friendly amendment and maybe some just defining some things a little bit better. But it does show that, I think there's a clear desire here to make sure that the public is always informed and kept up to date on what's going on with this fund, and especially because we know so many people worked so hard for so long on this fund. It's really important to see this put in here. So happy to support this amendment.
Councilmember Villegas.
Yes, I also want to express my gratitude for the initiative taken and apologize. My legislative aid is out, so these amendments were something I was kind of crippled to work on the last few days. So I thank both of you as I read through the testifiers and some of the original activators and Manavahine putting this together. I remember being a part of this back in my 20s. While not perfect, and while the terminology does not exactly reflect what is recommended by some of our testifiers, I do see the intentionality. I really appreciate the term shall being specifically listed here, and I'm in full support of this amendment. So I yield.
All those in favor of approving the amendment, communication 915.8, please say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries 9 ayes. Bill 165, Draft 2 has been further amended with the contents of communication 915.8.
Chair, motion to suspend our rules to allow for further discussion. Thank you.
Moved by Councilmember Kirkowitz, seconded by Councilmember Kagiwara to suspend our Rule 23 for further discussion of Bill 165. Mr. Clerk, roll call vote, please. This is a non-debatable motion.
On the motion to suspend the rules, Councilmember Galemba. Councilmember Eustace.
No.
Councilmember Kagiwara.
Aye.
Councilmember Kylie Kleinfelder.
Aye.
Councilmember Kirkowitz.
Aye.
Councilmember Kimball.
No.
Vice Chair Onishi.
Aye.
Councilmember Villegas.
Aye.
Chair Inaba.
Aye.
Chair Inaba, you have 7 votes in favor, 2 opposed, those being Councilmembers Eustace and Kimball. The motion carries. The rules are suspended.
Thank you. Any further discussion on this bill? Councilmember Villegas.
Yeah, I just want to take a moment to personally and professionally share my respect and admiration for the women who have been the advocates and champions of this program and project all along. Also to express my inner turmoil for navigating this piece of legislation and the intentionality behind it, while also honoring your fears and concerns and duly worthy lack of trust. And that's what I really recognize as being the bottom line in all of this, and why you strategically put this in the charter, and your vigilance to protect this fund and the purpose of the maintenance fund in perpetuity. It just sucks. to have to be in this seat at this time, but I hope you can understand. I'd like to think some things have changed, and I do hope that in the interest, I mean, this was all put in the charter for the purpose of keeping it safe from being raided and from administrations that did not value and would rather be able to allocate funds like this to their own budgeting leisure and decisions. I think from a procedural standpoint and from the meetings that have been held with community and those doing the work as maintenance, that's where this presented itself to be moved and articulated more specifically in the code. So I just want to, I hope I'm making the best decision here today, and all of us will continue to hope so. And I will also publicly say to any administration, nobody's going away here. While it seems like this legislation is likely to pass today and then go on to the ballot, we'll be here to hold accountable and to protect these resources and to ensure that the appropriate, authentically Pono distribution of these funds are never gutted, are never taken away from their intended purpose. And one of the interesting dances we get to do in this job is you can never please everyone. So with that, I yield.
Councilmember Kalimba.
Thank you. I want to thank the author for this. It is some of the changes are very much appropriate, and also to the amenders who made this a better bill and all of the discussion we've had. However, I think, we've been sort of under a time gun through this process, and so I'm not going to be supporting it today because of that in the main, that it is not given the community long enough time to metabolize this, and will also be causing some grief for the staff. So those are my reasons for not supporting it today.
Councilmember Kimball.
Yeah, thank you. I actually wanted to start, if I may, with a question to the clerk in terms of drafting. Would it be possible through our drafting procedures in the future to have a bill that contained both a charter amendment and a code amendment as long as the subject matter was the same?
No.
Why?
Because. Because I said so.
Okay, well.
Well, I mean, just the practicalities of it is that a charter amendment requires 3 readings. A code amendment requires 2. Charter amendment requires 6 votes to pass each reading. Code amendment requires 5. Charter amendment then also has other procedural requirements that a code requirement doesn't. So I think, though they're both, obviously policy documents, they're pathways for passage and adoption, and their implications are different. Therefore, they must be done separately. And also, I would presume too that when crafting policy, if something is deemed to be appropriate for the charter, then it singularly is, and that should be, there is a singular vehicle for that, and that would be, the bill to do so. And then otherwise, if it's something that should just be an ordinance that goes into the code that does not require the approval of our citizen voters, then that, it takes its own path as well.
Okay, we're going to have a deeper discussion about this.
I mean, I can just imagine a scenario where if, let's say you did create a bill that says that's amending this part of the charter or adding to it and amending this part of the code, and it gets, and there's 5 votes, what does that mean? Does that mean the bill fails?
I would presume so, because
and
of the
I mean, those are legal questions that I think would be probably just better to be avoided, quite
Yeah.
frankly.
Well, sometimes it's better to.
But I
avoid things,
appreciate
but
your,
sometimes
your creative thought. I've never even thought of that before, so novel, very novel.
Well, that has been, and I've expressed this before, my primary concern was that there's two things that need to happen with this. There needs to be the charter amendment in order for the code amendment to happen. In order to feel comfortable about the charter amendment, there has to be that code. And while I understand the complications of that procedurally, I think there has got to be a way where both are happening at the same time. I agree with the intention and the purpose of what you're trying to put forward to the maker. And obviously spent a little time over the last intervening period to try to make some amendments to make this palatable. But what I actually came back to as I was thinking about it earlier this week is that I don't have constituents that are clamoring for this right now. In fact, I have a lot of constituents that would prefer that we wait and address these things in a more holistic way. If there was a tremendous sense of urgency that this had to happen this year and had to be on this ballot, I think I could be supportive, but I'm not getting that sense of urgency from my constituents. Rather, I'm getting a sense of this is so significant and important. Let's take our time and do it right. And so I won't be supporting this either today, but Councilmember Kirkowitz, what I can commit to you is that should this not pass either today or on the ballot, I will continue this work if I'm, on this dais next to go around and ensure that something comes forward to address the very real problems that I think you were trying to do with this amendment. I do support that. I just take issue with the fact that we've not been able to solidify at this time the code amendment. Thank you.
Thank you. Deputy Director Kekai.
Hi, sorry, Malia Kekai. I just needed a little bit of clarification on the language, the itemized, sorry, you guys went so fast on the amendment, I missed my opportunity at that point, but the itemized accounting and receipts and disbursement, currently we do have a financial statement posted under financials on our website. I'm wondering is it the intent that this would also include kind of like the grant report inside of this, or would this just be the general, like, this is how much money we give out for this grant, and then it shows kind of like, debits and credits, and then in the grant system it'll have the report with the receipts and the accounting of what was spent in that grant? Is that your understanding, that it would be?
Are we in section 10-16D as in dog?
Yes, 3, the new language that they just added with the amendment, including an itemized accounting of receipts and disbursements.
Councilmember Kirkowitz?
That
Councilmember
was
Kimball?
my amendment. Yes. So the intention of that was to have the financial reporting that came out of the finance department show all sources of revenue, so that the income coming from the tax revenue and potentially any other sources, and then the disbursements, including the payees and the purpose of those payees. The more detailed itemized disbursements with regard to each individual stewardship grant, like this amount was for weed whacker gas and this was for whatever, that would be under the contract and that would not be part of this financial report. That was the intention.
Okay, perfect. Thank you so much. Appreciate your time.
Thank you, Deputy Director. Any further discussion? Councilmember Eustace.
Thank you, Chair. I appreciate the conversation about the PONC maintenance side of things, and I am hearing from community members about the flexibility and the need for flexibility in the management side of everything for the parcels that they're trying to manage and care for and steward. So I appreciate that opportunity and forthcoming discussion about that. I think that's worthwhile in terms of some of the flexibility of the management plans for the properties. I think it's crucial. It's kind of lacking at the moment, so something definitely to consider. Yeah, and constituents are really, I'm hearing from constituents that they are in support of this. Removing that $3 million cap is critical to the opportunity and future use of those spaces. And a lot of this discussion has revolved around what community is looking for as well, and I appreciate the outreach into community, and it will be a worthwhile discussion going forward. So thank you for the conversation.
Councilmember Kaniali'i Kleinfelder.
Thank you, Chair. Ms. Kekai, I have a question about the fund itself. So section 1016A establishes, which is now known as a special fund versus what it was before, which was the maintenance fund. Runs through what shall be deposited. Section B, the purpose of the fund is to blah, 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 blah. For you, the difference between what exists now as the maintenance fund, and that's removed, which is interesting that the hereinafter known as maintenance fund is removed. But the rest of the language in the proposed charter amendment discusses what we're calling the maintenance fund, but it's established as a special fund. What is the difference between a special fund and what it is now?
Thank you. I think the special fund is just a categorization, like we have highway fund, we have the acquisition fund, we have now the maintenance fund as well from previously. I think that's really just it. It's not a normal, like the general fund is the general fund. So I think that, I would defer to the maker if she has a different interpretation, but that's what I was thinking, was just a category.
No, I think this is more specific, so I was asking you. Because in state and county, we have different types of funds. Different types of funds can have different purposes or very specific purposes. So if I was to dive into this deeper, the special fund will get deposits. And then listing the purpose. And then we go a little bit deeper into that thought process, then all expenses, awards, and other uses of the fund, the maintenance fund, however, not a special fund, but the maintenance fund, must align with the purpose of the fund. But I think this is where I think we need to be careful. This is where I think we're straying away from. I think the conversation is really revolving around this piece, as may be further described, specified, or allowed by ordinance. So while we're clarifying what the purpose of the special fund is and the charter section itself, this section, as well as a few other places, basically refers to this ability to define by ordinance. But without the ordinance existing, but by creating that puka where we can come in and amend allowable uses of the special fund, and then getting really distinct now about what we are considering a special fund and what its allowed purposes of use are and how it's moved within the county budget, really becomes an interesting talking point, in my opinion. So in that sense, can you help me understand what a special fund is, how it's different from what it is right now, whether it needs to be referred to as a special fund or a maintenance fund? And
Yeah, I think it's just special funds are restricted, right? They're restricted funds. And so therefore you're right in the sense that like the charter now lays out basically what are the restrictions, how these funds can be spent. And they inform us how they can be spent. And majority of the funds in charter have those provisions about, amending and with an ordinance, not amending, but having further definition within the code via ordinance. But that can never contradict with the charter. So yes, the charter does restrict the funds and provide a sort of protection.
Okay, so then we're going to take this special fund back to that section B. Purpose of fund is to support and promote stewardship, preservation, restoration, public safety, and maintenance of land, interest in land, and easements acquired through public access, open space, and natural resources preservation fund. That is the purpose that we're laying out, that we are depositing 0.25% of all RPT revenues into and calling it a special fund. Unless, however, we decide by ordinance to change.
Is that a question? Sorry.
It's rhetorical, but it's also, I'm just summarizing and compiling what my brain is seeing and walking my way through this with you.
Yeah, I think it gives the council the authority to define the charter. So define what these protections mean, define what these activities are, and how is it to best support, promote the stewardship, preservation, restoration, public safety, and maintenance of the lands.
Yeah, I agree. So for the council, an interesting piece of this then, following on that same thought, is the real purpose was contained in section G of the original bill, which is then crossed out, which the maintenance fund shall be used solely for. And while I did hear from the public that that's a positive, I'm pointing back to the ability of the council by ordinance to both adjust funding and to adjust potentially the uses of this fund. And I think these are crucial points that the public has brought up to our attention, and that they're screaming for protection of a charter-based control. So I'm hearing both sides of the argument, but I am, the public has raised some good comment on why their concerns are what they are. Okay, I yield for now, Chair. Thank you.
Other discussion? Councilmember Kakiwara.
Thank you. Just since you're there, Deputy Director, thank you. Going back to this section 1016 D3, the one we just amended, the new amended language, would that include who received the funds, the purpose, the amount, when it was received? Would those details in your mind be included in this, including an itemized accounting of receipts and disbursements?
Yes, I believe all those things are currently reported on our website and would include, and if we are missing one of those things, we definitely can add that in.
Okay.
But I'm pretty sure it has the amount and then who the money was paid out to, and usually by the name you can tell what it is for, but if we're missing kind of what the purpose is, we can put that in as well.
Okay, thank you, I appreciate that. Yeah, I'm still kind of on the fence on this one as well. I really like the amendments that were put in today. I was disappointed that the amount was kept at 0.25%, but understanding that council members and the administration can look when we come to budgeting each year at increasing that amount if we want. But I am, regardless of what happens today, and regardless of how I vote, very committed to listening to the public, and especially people who've worked on this for so long, as we go forward with code changes going forward. So I just want to keep that door open to people, no matter what happens here today. Thank you, I yield.
Councilmember Kirkowitz.
Thank you, Chair. I just wanted to chime in on the special fund conversation. In our charter, section 1012, a special fund can only be established upon recommendation of the mayor. So without the mayor providing permission for the council to create the special fund, we can't create it. So that, I don't think anybody's asking for permission. It's already in the charter. So it's kind of cleaning up that technical piece there. So I hope that helps to answer your question, Councilmember Keneally Kleinfelder. You know, I was listening to my women's devotional this morning, and the theme was seeing another perspective, which I think was so apt for today. Coming into this feeling like I believe I'm doing the right thing, and then I'm just feeling so beat down by what I'm hearing from community members who are part of this process. And it felt a bit disheartening, but I can see their perspective, because there has been such a fight between government and community historically around this fund. So I see the perspective. But I also hope that there is still space and room and opportunity for collaboration. I remain committed, as I said, and I've sent copies to Ms. Hecht and other members of the community with upholding my end of the bargain, transferring what is in the charter into the code, and really listening to the nonprofit stewards at the summit and even afterwards about the critical gaps that are in the charter. Councilmember Kimball, one of your nonprofit stewards, Pohaha Ikalani, Jesse and Kulia Powder, are having real difficulty right now with current language in the charter. There are so many restrictions and areas of ambiguity that need to be addressed. One of my nonprofit stewards is having to give back money to the county because it is still waiting for the county to take action on its kuleana. And there's no clarity in the charter about who is supposed to do what when. And yes, Councilmember Galimba, it may feel a little bit rushed, but there's still an opportunity to do something right by community so they don't have to wait 2 years. These are changes that are supported by the finance department, by PONC team, by nonprofit stewards, and I hope we give it a fair chance in conversation and move this forward so that we can then begin the important discussion around the code amendment and ways in which we can support the stewards that are caring for these properties. Thank you, Chair.
Councilmember Kaniali Kleinfelder.
Maybe to the makers, does this affect, one of the points that was brought up in testimony was the commission itself. Does it address commission, or is the commission housed separately?
Chair,
go ahead.
I'd like to respond. This section of charter does not currently mention anything related to the commission. That is in fact in the code, and their function is fully preserved.
Okay, thank you.
Any other discussion? Okay, seeing none, I do want to thank you, Councilmember Kirkowitz, and we did receive a lot of testimony from members of the public. Some of the amendments requested via email have been taken up and passed today. And I think the one thing that may be of concern for some is that language as to the application process and mainly the application process and the uses wouldn't be here in the charter anymore. But again, I think I've stated this at previous council meetings. I do believe that those specifics for applications and, I had good conversation with Ms. Hecht regarding something as broad as saying we would do applications annually and keeping that in the charter. And even that I couldn't support because as we look ahead with our grant management systems and potential for maybe going to 2-year grant windows that allow our stewards to really do the work and not be bogged down by annual applications, to put language like that is so specific into the charter, I think is cause for concern and actually inhibits the good work that we could potentially do here. So I look forward to seeing the code language. I'll be supporting this today. And yeah, ultimately would like to see how we can broaden the scope of our potential uses and make more clear, along with the rest of our county grants, the processes and the transparency on reporting and accountability from those receiving these funds as well. So with that, Councilmember Corneli Kleinfelder?
I do have a follow-up, sorry. So it's section 4 of what was stricken under H, stewardship grants. I was looking for this piece to tie in what our testifiers were requesting and what I heard from Councilmember Kirkowitz. So the application for a stewardship grant, an organization shall provide to the Department of Finance and the Public Access, Open Space, and Natural Resource Preservation Commission the following, but that being stricken out, I'm going to assume now, because there's no process anywhere that I can find, that we have that potentially there could be code for, that the commission no longer is involved. Is that what I'm understanding?
Chair, if I could respond.
Go ahead.
The commission's kuleana, all of their responsibilities for reviewing both applications to nominate properties and also review stewardship applications, those grants, it's currently in our code. That whole process of their kuleana is currently in the code.
In our county code?
In our county code, right now.
Interesting. What section of code?
2-214.2.
Okay, thank you.
All right, Mr. Clerk, a roll call vote, please.
On the motion to pass Bill 165, Draft 2, as amended on third and final reading, Councilmember Galemba.
No.
Councilmember Eustis.
Aye.
Councilmember Kagiwara.
Kailua.
Councilmember Connolly Kleinfelder.
No.
Councilmember Kirkowitz.
Aye.
Councilmember Kimball.
No.
Vice Chair Onishi.
Aye.
Councilmember Villegas.
Kanaloa.
Chair Inaba.
Aye.
Councilmember Kagiwara.
No.
Councilmember Villegas.
Aye.
Chair Inaba, you have 5 votes in favor, 4 opposed. The motion fails. The 5 votes in favor are Councilmembers Eustis, Kirkowitz, Vice Chair Onishi, Villegas, and yourself.
Thank you, Mr. Clerk. We'll proceed to referrals for executive session.
Is there any testimony for communication 957? Hearing none, communication 957, legal proceedings concerning Alan Fukamizu from Deputy Corporation Counsel Dimitri G. Lametti, dated June 17, 2026, requesting attorney-client confidential discussion to consult with the counsel regarding the above entitled matter.
A motion, please, to close file on communication 957.
Chair, motion to close file on communication 957.
Moved by Councilmember Eustis, seconded by Vice Chair Onishi to close file on communication 957.
Chair, motion to enter executive session pursuant to section 92-5A4 for the purpose of consulting with the council's attorney on questions, issues pertaining to the council's powers, duties, privileges, immunities, and liabilities.
Is there a second? Second. Moved by Councilmember Eustis, seconded by Vice Chair Onishi to enter into executive session for discussion with our attorney. All those in favor, please say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries. 9 ayes. We'll be entering into executive session for communication 957. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. We are out of executive session with Communication 957. Councilmember Hustis will give us a brief summary.
Thank you, Chair. Pursuant to Section 92-5A4, Council consulted with the Council's attorney on questions, issues pertaining to our powers, duties, privileges, immunities, and liabilities. Thank you.
Thank you. And do we have a motion to accept the recommendation as provided related to Communication 957?
So moved.
Moved by Councilmember Kagiwara, seconded by Councilmember Hustis to accept the recommendation provided by the Corporation Council. All those in favor, please say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries 9 ayes. The recommendation being requested by the Corporation Council has been approved by the County Council. All those in favor of closing file on this communication, please say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries 9 ayes. We have closed file on Communication 957. This brings us to the end of our normal business announcements, starting with Councilmember Hustis.
Thanks, Chair. Just 2 quick community announcements happening this weekend. First, I want to thank our DARE program, High Pal, our police force. They're holding a keiki fishing derby in Kauai High. So really looking forward to support that. And then as we kind of look into the school season coming up ahead for our keiki and youth, there's a back to school bash. Hamako Kohala Health is a big part of that piece up in Kohala at the high school there. So some good community activities happening this weekend. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you. Councilmember Villegas.
Yes, want to invite our community to come down to the Kailua Pier on Tuesday afternoon, July 28th, for a Malama Kailua Pier and Bay Day. There is a committed network of community representatives from state, county, and the private sector working on plans to refurbish, rehabilitate, you might say, and give a whole lot of love to the Kailua Pier, which is a central spot in our village. So please come down. There will be canoe rides. There will be snorkeling. There will also be opportunities to see boards with potential planning for some of that infrastructure improvement work there on the pier. That will be from 3 to 5:30 on Tuesday, July 28th at the Kailua Pier. And I also want to quickly just share a story with my colleagues here. Last year, we were all in council together talking about the MOUs as they related to ICE in our community. And that day I received a call that a 17-year-old boy, a student at Konawaina High School, had been taken. Not legally, he was here, completely legally. And we all did a lot of work making phone calls and consistently putting pressure on the powers that be to try and bring this boy back and to reunite him with his brother here in Kona. And last night in an event, the teacher who advocated for him and continued the work and watched our work and appreciated everything we've done, told me that he's back and he's been reunited with his brother and he's safe and healthy. And after months of wondering about his whereabouts and his health and safety, I wanted to share that beautiful news with all of you that we made a difference and this boy is safe and back with family. So thank all of you.
Thank you, Councilmember Villegas, for ending our meeting on that positive note and sharing that great news. With that, this brings us to the end of our agenda and our announcements. Our meeting is adjourned at 12 noon on the dot. Mahalo.